Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this session and the webinar on a lifetime journey of sustainability with Adrienne. My name is Namrata, and I'm the co-founder of Shift Eco, an online platform for eco-friendly products. While we're an online platform, Shift Eco really believes in collaborating and learning more and helping consumers know more about sustainable living. And that's why today we're here with the very successful Adrienne, who's done so much in sustainability. And I'll allow Adrienne to introduce herself and tell you a little bit more about herself.
You might give me a big head with that, Namrata, but thank you. I'm Adrienne Doolan. I'm the founder and owner of Green Touches, and we set up in 2015. We're a sustainability company, and we're now involving ourselves in just about everything. So we provide cleaning services, but following a sustainable green cleaning program, and we do not use any traditional cleaning chemicals at all. It's a sackable offence. And so we're trying to, keep everybody, the clients healthy, and really mostly our staff as well. And then we provide clean technology products. We're now starting to have a look at food waste as well, because this is a great thing. So like everything to do with sustainability, I want to address actually.
Wow.
Try to be ambitious.
That's a really big thing, right? So let's take a step back, Adrienne. You're doing Green Touches right now, but let's go back. And I want to kind of understand how your interest in sustainability came about. So going back to your childhood, you're from Ireland. Can you tell us a little bit more about how did your journey begin? What got you interested?
Yeah, I always say it probably sounds like such a cliche, but I have sustainability in my DNA. I think for most people of my age, so we won't really reveal that too much, but the wrinkles can reveal the age like an old tree. I think, I grew up very much in nature. I'm very much a child of nature. I'm happiest, with my shoes off, walking on sand or grass or in the sea or anything. So I have an absolute love of nature. As I was sort of going into my late teens, I was an activist for anti this, anti that, anti everything that I thought would damage our environment. Yeah. And then I got into sort of yoga, meditation, in my very late teens. So when you're sort of very aware of yourself and your space within life, let's say, on this planet, then I think you can only go one way forward, and that is to protect it, to protect the nature.
Right. So that sounds really compelling and amazing. But to break it down for all of us, what are the kind of behaviors or what are the kind of habits did you have that exhibited this sustainability, sort of obsession, as you kind of put it?
Obsession, yeah. Is it an obsession? It is an obsession. Actually, my sons, they're older now, but they're request always on maybe one day of the year, such as maybe the 25th of December, is could we have one day that you don't mention the word sustainability? So it is an obsession, yes. Yeah, I think when you have an inherent awareness of everything around you, therefore you begin to realize that chemicals, so traditional cleaning chemicals or traditional products that you will use in personal care, they all become no-nos, because you start looking at the practices of the East. So you look at all the like Ayurvedic and essential oils, and all of what we have now actually that we use as synthetics, they're all plant-based, and they all come from our ancestors, or they all come from ancient times. So they appeal to me as well, the whole because it's nature-based. So so therefore, and I know that any woman leaving a bathroom, they've done it on females, will have applied around 128 different chemicals by the time she leaves the bathroom. And that's a lot of stuff. And if you're doing it on a monthly basis, that's okay. But when you're applying these things on a daily basis, they do have an effect on you. Your skin is an organ that absorbs everything. And I think, you know, science-based now, we know the effect of chemicals on the body, and especially for children. So by the time, so yeah, so it was, you know, getting rid of traditional chemicals and using oils and essential oils for medication and for you know, personal use as well. Although I used patchouli as a perfume, right? Because if you use fragrances, they contain so many different chemicals. So it's always, if you see the word fragrance, you know, put it back on the shelf. But I was in a lift here actually a few years ago in the UAE, and a guy got in and he said to me, "You smell like a hippie."
Wow.
So yeah, so that kind of got rid of my patchouli phase. And food wise, then, I mean, you know, growing up, and I think this goes for most people of my generation as well. You generally were eating organics and living an organic life without realizing it. You know, everybody went shopping with their own bags, right? I mean, I can remember I would go with my mother and my grandmother on a Saturday into the city of Dublin shopping, and they would both have their wheeling trolleys, you know, to put all their vegetables in, fruits and vegetables that they would buy, you know. So we lived in a very organic way of life. So you were already sort of quite switched on to that. I lived in near a market gardening area where everything was just organically grown as well, and still is to this day, which is really nice. So yeah, so I think, you know, with the influence of nature, with my own character, I suppose, yeah, that's how the journey started. And then especially when my first son was born, there was no way I was putting anything chemical near him.
Nice, great. So you've gone a long way, coming all the way from Ireland, which is so rich in nature, etc. And you came to UAE many, many years ago. So I want to understand, when you came to the UAE the first time, how was that shift, and how did you, I mean, UAE was very different back in the day. So how was that move for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've traveled to a lot of different countries, and each time you try to do your own thing, because obviously, you know, even back in Europe 20, 30 years ago, you know, we were doing our own recycling at home and stuff like that. But, you know, landfills were packed to capacity. People were dumping stuff at the side of the roads. I mean, you know, the city, Ireland was not a particularly clean city. So, and Europe is the same. We all came on a long journey. So, you know, obviously when I first came to the UAE as well, I've lived in Saudi also. So the commitment to, you know, to the environment, let's say, were not great. You know, I always remember in Saudi and here within the UAE as well, you know, the trees were all absolutely decorated with plastic bags. And the amount of rubbish that was left behind in the desert as well, because we've always done a lot of desert outings and campings and stuff. So that, you know, it's always very disappointing. But, you know, I always remain optimistic that things will change, and things have certainly changed. I mean, when I started off here, I would do my own recycling, my own composting. I would bring the recycling once a month, pack up my car and take it to Al Wassel Road at the back of Spinney's. They were actually taking it, and it was being exported at the time. And you know, things really accelerated. I think by 2014, suddenly you saw the wheelie bins appearing, 2 bins and separation, and I was like, wow. And you know, and fast forward now to 2021, I mean, it's just accelerated. It's phenomenal. Even within the last 12 months, the changes taking place are amazing. And the awareness that's been created, and the government, you know, 2030 zero waste to landfill, you know, 2050 zero emissions. So like there's very ambitious projects that we can really all work on. So it's really heartening to see the changes.
That's great. And I think I completely agree with you. I haven't been in UAE as long as you have, but there's definitely a lot of change, a lot of shifts. Recycling has become a lot easier. There are a lot of apps that have been launched which actually come to your home and pick it up, if you know, because everyone has become convenience driven. So I completely agree with you on that. So you came to the UAE and you were adapting your behavior and you were trying to continue your sustainability journey. Tell us about how Green Touches came about and all the other initiatives that you're part of.
Yeah. Well, I was doing sort of leadership training and different jobs when I first came, actually, and then through different circumstances, I decided, to set up my own company. I think once you're an entrepreneur, it's always in the blood, right, to suffer, because a lot of it is tough. A friend of mine once said that if you being an entrepreneur is like jumping off a cliff and making your wings as you go down. It's very true. And I would think being an entrepreneur within sustainability is also quite a lonely journey. But I think now everybody seems to realize that what you were saying earlier, partnerships and collaboration are definitely the way forward for SMEs. So yeah, due to various circumstances, I wanted to set up a company and sort of in the health and wellness. And so I had been sort of thinking on Reiki healings because I'm a Reiki master in that. And then I thought, no, maybe something different. And so then I cleaning, I've always been a little bit OCD. As a child, they used to call me bucket and brush. So I knew something about cleaning, but effective cleaning and cleaning where you're not killing your own organic system, right? We're made up of around 270 trillion different bacteria. So you need to ensure that your own ecosystem survives within the ecosystem. So I thought, let's set up a cleaning company and try to push forward the notion of health and wellness. Within offices, like people don't realize if it's just been cleaned, for the next 2 to 3 hours, your what they call the VOCs, the volatile organic compounds, the air quality is really, really bad. And people, you're inhaling this. And not only is it bad for the employees, but it's also bad for the cleaners, the cleaning staff. It's also really bad for them if they're, because they're constantly using these products. In the UK, there are a lot of statistics available on cleaning staff. Around 75% and it was women actually working in the cleaning industry suffer from either asthma or different respiratory illnesses. Which is a huge percentage, huge. So, a lot of these products, they're being inhaled and they're not safe. And then I like to look at a more effective clean, a one product that cleans all also, because, when we're looking at sustainability now, we want to limit the use of all the resources we have. So we don't need 5 different cleaning products, believe me. Actually, one product generally cleans all. So this is what you need to we need to start moving towards this anyway. And then effective cleaning, so any products now with some nanotechnologies, with we use like either aqueous ozone, which is O3 molecule, or we're using a catalyte, which is from hypochloric acid. We're using probiotics, and all of these products will leave a lasting residue that a traditional cleaning product will not leave.
Right.
And I'm really cognizant of the fact that as a cleaning company, when you're sending your staff into, be it either commercial or a residential situation, you actually have a very big commitment to ensuring that space is cleaned in a proper manner as well. And so we look at all the products that we're using, that they're quality and that they're effective. And then we look from a water saving point of view. So we do not use mops and buckets because you're using copious amounts of water. So we use a fluid pole, like a telescopic pole with an ergo slider, so that it moves, so that the staff also, it's easy for them for cleaning as well. So you're thinking about everybody. And then you're using different types of color cloth from microfiber cloth in order to prevent cross contamination. So just, Now, green cleaning has no smell, and everybody wants to smell because, all the big companies have the huge budgets, and they, when you smell something, you think it's clean. And that's, the importance of scent goes back centuries. It identifies culture, people, everything. So these marketing gurus are very clever on this. So a green clean actually has no smell in general. So we diffuse an essential oil during services. because you have to play with the boys if you want to make the changes. So when people will enter their premises or their homes, they will get a smell and will click off psychologically that the place has been cleaned.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense because we get that from a lot of our clients as well who are using cleaner products and change. But
Yeah.
that's a very interesting point you bring up about cleaning products. So as consumers, how do we, because there's so many cleaning products out in the market, and you're absolutely right, marketers have bifurcated these products into some for the kitchen, some for the bathroom, whereas maybe the ingredients of all are actually the same, and they've been changed around so that you buy and consume more. So as a consumer, what should I be looking for when I'm buying these mass produced products, and what would be those red flags that I should keep in mind?
Yeah, for looking for, I mean, anything with a skull and bone on it, or an X on it, or a flammable sign or whatever, I always think don't go near them. Aerosols either, don't touch them. And a general purpose cleaner, and I would actually go immediately towards either natural products, or even in a home situation, your vinegars and your lemons, they're fine, they really are fine. It's in high traffic areas where so for commercial situations where you're a little bit more cognizant, but that's where then your nanotechnologies come in, because they actually, when you have like a general cleaning product, right, it doesn't have any what they call nanotechnology or nano bubbles, right? Right. So they have usually micro bubbles, so they're not capable of penetrating surfaces. So every surface you look at, albeit looks perfect, it has cracks. And within those cracks, the germs and the bacteria will conjugate. But with these micro bubbles, they will actually manage to like penetrate into those cracks and will clean more effectively. Right. And the beauty of cleaning with those kind of products as well is that you can just spray it on and wipe it in and leave it. You do not have to use copious amounts of water to rid yourself of the products. So for people, I would always say, if you're not going to spray it on your food or spray it into your mouth, why would you use it anywhere near you? So, like all these oven cleaners, barbecue cleaners, you're going to eat food cooked in it, on top of it. If you don't spray it on your food, then, steer away from it. And, I am cognizant of the fact that, all of these huge, big commercial companies are producing loads and loads of products. But at the end of the day, we all need to work towards sustainability. And we all need to stop utilizing so many of the world's resources. Right. So, it's up to those companies as well to realize this, and to say to people, look, and they'll move people towards this. Look, it's okay to use one product, for cleaning your windows. I mean, my grandmother used cold water and newspaper, and the windows were perfectly clean, because when you're using all these products, like usually they're ammonia based, besides the fact that they're very unhealthy for you, and they leave a residue on the glass because it's not pure water. So they'll leave a residue, and the dust will cling faster, will find a place to sit. Whereas if you're using pure water products or natural products and leave nothing on the glass, then it stays cleaner longer. So, it's sort of like, it's just pushing the boat out and kind of thinking, oh yeah, right. So it's just being aware of this.
Right. That's a brilliant point, because we don't need to just buy better, we need to buy less as well. And that's the whole conversation. And there are very few people talking about it, which is quite surprising. You find a lot of companies that pose as sustainable companies, but are actually selling so many different kinds of cleaning agents. And as consumers, we're left completely confused.
Exactly.
Because you don't know enough. So you're based in the sustainable city, Adrienne. How is Green Touches? How is being in the sustainable city would be my first question.
Amazing. Actually, I did we were doing some interviews recently, and I said, if I have to leave the sustainable city, I'm leaving Dubai. because the commitment to sustainability, we're living nice sustainable lives, and we know we have a healthier air and that here as well, due to the fact that there's not all traffic driving around in the cars. We recycle almost everything, and we even have for electronics waste, so it's like, yeah, I'm living the way of life that I want to live. So for me, it's absolutely perfect. I had set up my company in October of 2015. And by pure coincidence, I came to live here in the December of 2015. I was number 2 resident in the
Oh,
city.
wow.
And so it's lovely. So that, that my company, my life values and the ethos of Sustainable City all roll into one for me. So I managed to live in a sustainable bubble because I'm, working here, living here. So in principle, I don't have to move out of this.
Right. No, that's great. So when you move out of that bubble, Dubai has a very other extreme side of overconsumption, retail, trying to get people to buy more.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? And what would be your advice for consumers who are, have this retail?
Yeah. I mean, I know it's all, you're for economies and jobs and etc. But I do believe, and we know that working in the, towards sustainability, that we can create more jobs within that field. And consumerism is it's pushed out by brands, by you have to, you must have. So it's about making that decision yourself, right? Do I actually need that extra shirt? Do I need that t-shirt? I'm going to wear that for 24 hours and probably dump it, because you have a lot now, I know, with that sort of culture of just buying cheap clothes because you're only going to wear it once. There has to be just like a major shift, I believe, from our linear economy to circular. And for me, circular economy is not just about money. Again, it's about making life better for everybody. So yeah, I think so. It is difficult sometimes, but at the end of the day, well, especially as you get older anyway, you don't really need all those possessions, so it's very easy. Because I'm sure I've done my fair share of purchasing years and years ago, but I don't generally go out to shopping centers and stuff like that, because it's not the place I like to find myself. And I'm perfectly aware. I mean, I have stuff that is really old. I mean, I have, my toaster is, we're always laughing, my kids are always jeering me, is like more than 29 years old. And when people I haven't seen for 20 years, they come into my house and they're like, well, it's the same as, so I like to keep my things. And yeah, sometimes you'd like to change, but then throw a blanket over it, or if you want the couch looking different, or if you buy sort of good stuff, you don't need to keep dumping and keep changing, and you need to try to walk away from that whole consumerism if you can. I know it's difficult, but it's about reconnecting with yourself as well. It's about taking the time to just look at a flower, look at a tree, and sort of think, what do I want from life actually? Is it this constant buying, going out? So it's a choice. You can't force it upon people, but I would definitely hope that it's a choice that people will be really trying to make now, because everybody sees what's going on. Climate change is there. It's a science-based fact. And the IPCC report that was published in August of last year, was unequivocal in saying that, it's a code red for humanity. We are responsible for what has happened. We've put a print on as humans on a geological layer. So, you have to be aware of that, unless you're buried your head in the sand. You need to be aware of what you're doing and how you're living. It's in some ways, I know it should be a choice, because consumers need a choice, but in some ways it shouldn't actually be a choice. It should be, a smart choice.
Right. No, that's very interesting. I agree with what you say. And I think coming back to the point of employment, a lot of this retail is about consumerism, is about employment, etc. And we have a very interesting question that's come up, which is from Matt G, who's asking you about if someone wants to pursue sustainability as a career, which now people are getting more and more interested in, what would be your recommendations about where they start, what they study? Are there any tips that you can give an aspiring sustainability professional?
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, we were on a panel discussion last week at the Organic Expo down at the World Trade Center, and actually there was a girl who came and asked me the very same thing. She was in PR, and she wanted to start moving into sustainability. And what I said to her was, identify what aspect of sustainability that you would like to work in. So it's a broad field, because you have your renewables. You have all different aspects of it. So what part of it do you want to work in? So identify first, what your field is, what the field of expertise is. And there are so many free online courses that people can do. And then, if you do that, sometimes then you can find your interest. And there's always plenty of internships. Start following groups as well on, LinkedIn is also a very professional and a great way to find out about the different groups. And there's so many groups on sustainability, and read and educate yourself about it, and steer away from the fake news and the greenwashing. And then, the universities as well, like all the universities are offering sustainability courses.
Right.
So I think there's lots of ways now that you can get involved in internships in companies. Just identify the companies that are working in sustainability and commitments, and then identify them and apply to them and say, look, I'm in this field, but I'd really like to do this. But you can do some free online courses and stuff like that. So at least you get something under your belt and get some knowledge as well.
Right. No, that's very interesting. I think sustainability as a field is really growing. And I want to share with you this really interesting experience that happened to myself and Sukriti just last week. So we were at the India Pavilion at the Expo, and we were showcasing our line of Rethink products, which basically is a line of reusable products that cut single-use plastic. And while we were showcasing, we had all sorts of participants come and see our products. And in that range, there were some professors that had come. And one of the comments the professor made was, "Y'all are doing really great work. It's really interesting. But I'd urge you all to be patient, because while sustainability is picking up, it's going to take a decade for it to really boom." What is your take on that comment?
I totally agree. I totally agree. And actually, there's there was a friend of mine who's totally, like most of my friends, all of my friends, in fact, are all working in this sustainability arena. So you actually begin to think that there's millions of us doing this. Yeah, but it's actually not. And if you see the activists, it's a handful in each country. So yeah, I remain an eternal optimist that within my lifetime, I'm hoping to see some significant changes, and particularly in consumers and behaviors. That really needs to change. But I tend to agree with them. So yeah, so they were just being factual, obviously from a scientific and an actual point of view. And I know your company actually, because before I've actually ordered from it. Because things like sometimes one needs a cotton bud, and you don't want to be using the plasticky ones. So the one thing I don't love about companies, not your company in general, but I don't think as sustainable companies we don't need to replace what we have had, right? Because I mean, for me particularly, straws is the one that always really irritates me. I'm like, we don't need straws. Do I need an edible straw? No, I never ate a plastic straw. Why would I eat any type of straw? And it's like, generally most people over the age of 2 are quite capable of drinking without a straw. So there's loads of tiny little things that I do believe we really need to change.
Right.
And you know, try to make a difference. So stop replacing everything and try
Right.
to actually start cutting out stuff, and you know, and it'll be just constant talking about it, constantly trying to create awareness.
Right.
A lot of the times what happens is we're all preaching to the converted.
Yeah.
And we really need to find that key to reach out to people who are not yet on the sustainable journey,
Right.
and try to help them, because it can be super overwhelming, I think.
Yeah. No.
You're like, where do I start? You know,
Right.
so little, yeah, so small actions
Right. But I know you don't
can
believe
make
in
change.
small actions. I remember when we were speaking last, you talked about starting your sustainability journey means going all out, right on the go. So if there was someone who wants to start their sustainability journey, what would be your recommendation of how they should start?
And try to, like, small little things within your home, try to start recycling, because I know now, even if you are living in an apartment, I know it can be difficult. You sort of think, oh, you know, everything goes into the one chute, but actually in the basements of most of these buildings now, they do have recycling receptacles. So try to just get small bins within your apartment, and separate them.
Yeah.
And try to even to do something with your food waste. There are options out there now. And so we're trying with our bokashi to get people to use their food waste. There's another great company that just recently set up a startup called the Waste Lab.
Yeah.
I know you've heard about them. And what they're doing is also phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
So you can, you know, they will collect your waste, your food waste, which is fantastic. So recycling, so that pertains to everything from organic to
Yeah.
paper, plastic. Then I think, you know, don't buy as much as you think you need. You know, just kind of step back a little bit about that and just say, okay, I don't really need it, so I won't buy it.
Yeah.
Switch over. I mean, I know it's you know, it seems such a cliche, but switch over from, you know, try to stop, if you're going to buy your coffee, you know, bring your refillable mug with you. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's accepting that now. Switch to the, you know, the water bottles, right? Because you can buy them everywhere now.
Yeah.
So switch to water bottles. Actually, it's really cool. There's a new, and I'm not going to do a big promotion on this, but there's a new Spinneys that's just opened in the Leyan community, and I think a lot of people are talking about it because they've got a whole area now committed to sustainability and to
Lovely.
supporting small local businesses, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But they also, one of the water companies has put in their water filters there. Can I mention the name of the company or not?
Go for it.
It's Liquid of Life. They've got their water filters there. Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody, because
yeah, it's
everybody
fine.
knows everybody
Yeah,
within
it's fine. Yeah.
sustainability, right?
Yeah.
It's a small family community, and so you can actually refill your water bottle there with still water for free, and you
Yeah.
can buy a liter of sparkling water for, I think, for 2 dirhams or something.
Oh,
You
lovely.
can also bring all your own containers now. They have so much stuff that you can, you know, from nuts, pastas, rices, spices. You can bring your own containers to do your shopping.
Right.
So this is, yeah. So again, these are the small little things you can do, right?
Yeah.
Don't leave home without a shopping bag. I always have a tiny little one rolled up in my bag, and you can get them everywhere. So there's no excuses, you
Yeah.
know. And I've one that rolls up into a small one and pops out into quite a big bag.
Right.
So that you can at least start to refuse the plastic. So the more as consumers that we refuse, the more that we will force manufacturing to also change as well,
Right.
right? And because you can't just put the onus on the consumer,
Yeah.
but it also has to be the manufacturer
Absolutely.
that needs to start to helping. But you know, the consumer is the one who actually has the large voice and who can actually bring a lot of pressure to bear,
Right.
you know, by refusing. And if more and more people refuse,
Yeah.
then you know, the companies will go back to the manufacturers and say, well, actually nobody's buying our stuff anymore, so can you make some changes?
Right. No, I absolutely agree. There is an onus on different parties. We as consumers are responsible, so are governments. And then, of course,
Yeah,
there are companies as well. I know you do a
yeah.
lot of work with companies also. Can you tell us about some projects that you've done that, according to you, have been fantastic? anything that you'd want to share with your work with corporations?
Well, I mean, I think everything we do is fantastic. No. I mean, I think from apart from it being a business point of view, but I'm people, planet, profit. And I'm 6 years in business now, and it does work. So I think for us, it's change. Go into a company when you work in a commercial setting, to chat to the staff and say, look, your company now actually have brought us in because we're doing green cleaning. What does that mean? And tell them the health effects and what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So you can, if you get a company to then put recycling bins in a central area, get rid of all the small little bins under their desk. Yeah. As part, somebody might say, oh, that's such a pain in the neck. And I always say to them, no, it's not. It's great. Because it means it's part of your health and wellness. It means you can get up and walk during the day, which is really important. And then once you start chatting with people within their company, they can start bringing these ideas home into their own homes as well. And so for me, I love commercial settings because you can reach a lot more people. Yeah. In residential, the clients that we have are ones that already know, and are on that journey of green cleaning. And I think, success stories. I mean, for me, every new client that comes on board for us is a success story. I think the fact that we managed to save so much water. We're doing another case study, but we did a case study from 2018 to 2019, and as a company, we managed to save over 8 million liters of water within our services, our operations. We managed to save around 65,000 liters of toxic chemical from entering groundwaters. So and then, like, because we only use 1 or 2 plastic bottles, we recycled around 5,650 kilos of plastic. That's one company, in one year. So I would always appeal to these FM companies out there, to start adapting to different ways of operations. It really makes a big difference.
So one key thing we always get questioned about in sustainability or shifting to greener solutions are the price points. So a lot of people ask, they say, there was this one comment it really stuck with me. They said, eco-friendly behavior and sustainable living is a rich man's problem. It's far too expensive for people who are on a budget, who have to cut corners. They can't afford, sustainable living. So what is your take on that?
I agree with you. I think it was. I don't think it's as much now, but for sure, definitely, 10, 15 years ago, it was, it was the rich man, could have the organic. So I totally agree with you there. I think one of the issues for let's say, organic food, albeit now it's become really affordable for everybody, actually. But, organic farming is not intensive farming. So with organic farming, you're not planting field after field after field of the same crop. Because I know from one of my sustainability colleagues who's in Emirates Biofarm, and he explains in such a great way that they can only plant a certain number of rows, and then they need to plant another crop, because if they're not using any fertilizers and stuff, or what do you call it, toxic fertilizers or anything like this, they need to fool the insects who are landing on the plants. So the insects will land on a certain row, and they go on to the next, and they get confused. So it's not intensive farming, therefore it's expensive farming. So, but the more people who will demand to eat organic food, we can have more organic farming, and we can reduce the price. A lot of organic products are actually in some ways cheaper. And there was another company that we worked with they had products handmade from the Philippines, and they were all highly concentrated products. So in fact, if you used it in the correct manner, you were, yes, maybe you paid 50 dirham or something, but it lasted you for 5 months.
Right.
So 10 dirham a month was probably, they were probably paying more monthly for some of their products. So it's just generally not taking that big view about, oh, this is too expensive, I can't afford it. If you have a look, you'll actually find that you can afford it.
Right. So I think the question is more about reducing what you're consuming and focusing more on quality than quantity. And quality
Absolutely.
not just from an environment perspective, but also a personal health perspective, because whatever we use in our personal care and home care routines, it affects our health in some way or the other.
Yes.
So I think
and how many
that's
thousands? Yeah. I mean, I think, we don't have to prove that to anybody anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I remember actually a niece of mine saying to me, you were way ahead of your time. And she said, I used to think you were talking all this nonsense 10, 15 years ago and you drove me mad. But she said you were ahead of your time in a way, which is fine, and which is great now that more and more people are realizing that it's a better way of living for your own health. But also for for future generations. It's really important that we all stand together on one line, and businesses, governments, everybody alike, because at the end of the day, a government is made up of humans, a corporation is made up of humans, so we're all people, and you can you put it under, you blame government, you blame this, you blame that, but at the end of the day, we're all people that need to really work on making changes.
That's really well put, Adrienne. I don't have any more questions. I'm also cognizant about time, so I'm going to wrap up the session. Thank you so much for coming and sharing all your input. Seeing your passion about sustainability is truly inspiring. And I'm sure if it's been inspiring for me, it's been for all the viewers who are going to watch this. Whoever has questions, feel free to email at hello@shifteco.ae. We will make sure you get the answers from Adrienne herself, and we'll make sure we connect you to her. Thank you again for coming on the show, Adrienne. We keep doing webinars on Learn with Shifteco. Our next series is launching on the 19th. We call it the SDG series, which we're launching with the Umbrella Institute. So watch this space for more, and we look forward to seeing you in our future sessions.
Yeah, well, you can see the SDGs behind me here.
Yeah, so we're probably going to reach out to collaborate with you in one of them as well.
Yeah. I mean, we joined as a company in 2017, the Global Compact here in the UAE. And I've been on the board since 2019. And actually, I was just saying to a friend of mine this morning, I said, if everybody would live their lives following the Sustainable Development Goals, then the world would be a better place.
Oh, wow. So Adrienne, I'm going to pick your brains and get you to collaborate with us on that as well.
You're welcome. Thanks very much. And thank you. And congratulations for what you're doing of creating the awareness as well. It's really great.
Thank you so much, Adrienne. Have a great day. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Namrata. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.